When you visit Rick Hendrick's massive motorsports complex outside of Charlotte, North Carolina, it becomes quite apparent that you're at the home of the Tide Racing team. Hi, I'm Dr. Jerry Punch, and you know, whether it's motorsports, business, or medicine, there is one key ingredient to success try to accomplish. You know, in motorsports, I see teamwork every Sunday afternoon. Pit stops up and down pit road, 7 men scampering over the wall, the driver stopping the car just the right spot for those sub-18-second pit stops. But for the Tide Motorsports team, there's more than just 8 people. In fact, there's almost 30 folks involved with their long history of success. Today, we're going to show you some of those people, so we're going to go behind the scenes inside the shop here and show you what they do and how they contribute so much to that success on Sunday afternoons. Come along. Okay, let's take a look and see what we can see here. Hey, Gary, how you doing? Gary Dehart, crew chief for the Tide team. Hey, now, good to see you. I know what you do on race day. You call the shots in the pits and you make sure everything goes smoothly. But now in the shop, what do you do?
Oh, boy, we're busy right now. We're busy building new cars and fixing old cars and fixing wrecks. And that's what we do all week long, repair them and, you know, just put them back up to new standards and keep going.
Making all those decisions. Now, what's going on behind you here? This is the car. Looks like it's about 2/3 of the way done.
This is actually a brand new car. We getting ready to go. This is our new road course car.
Oh.
And it'll be tested and taken to Sears Point and run out there.
So the final stages of fabrication. So we'll walk over here and see what some of the guys are doing now. Let's see, we got some guy without a head here missing. That looks like Robert Surt. Hey, Julio. That's Robert's nickname, Julio. Everyone's got to have a nickname here, and he looks sort of like that good-looking singer, Julio. Now, what are you doing under there?
Installing the steel crush panel that just kind of keeps the driver from fumes and debris and, you know, just rubber and stuff like that.
Basically some insulating steel inside the car, and we'll walk on around here, Gary. And now, what are they doing up here? Are they putting some of the front geometry together? Or?
Yeah, this is Butch Lamoureux here. He's doing the bump steer on what's called bump steer. I know you've heard of that. We got several different suspension packages, and we got to do the bump steer every time we change one of them. So actually, this car I'm about to drive him crazy on because he's been doing it for about a week now, and he's probably going to have to do it for another week. We're going to have 3 or 4 different packages.
It's just incredible how much work goes into one of these cars. I mean, as this car sits, Gary, how long will it take to finish it as far as hours?
Oh, Lord, if we just had a normal crew on it, it'd probably take a week to get it done. But right now we're doubling up. We got some of Eddie's guys next door in the chassis shop down here, so it's going to take probably 2 or 3 days.
You'll have this car finished in 2 or 3 days?
Oh, yeah, we have it ready to run and ready to go.
Incredible. They can build a race car and make it work in a couple of days. Let's see who else. Danny Marshman. Let's see what Danny's doing over there. Danny Marshman's a rear tire changer, and he's over here. He changes both the right rear and hustles around to the left side. Let's see what's going on. What are you making here?
Well, Jerry, we're just kind of putting our new road course car together here. I'm trying to get a fuel cell put together, try to get a better pickup here so we make sure we can pick up all of our fuel so he ain't out there wandering around and run out of gas.
Is this one of those Tide secrets we shouldn't be showing, but let's show everybody anyway?
No, this is pretty much everybody pretty much runs the same thing that we got right here, but it's pretty close.
I was hoping we had a secret to show you. Now, Gary, we got a lot of people working here in the shop. You got, I saw Jeff Torrance a minute ago. He's the gas man. He's carrying parts out here. We're going to meet some of the guys in the gear shop. You're building a race car here, but right around the corner here, you've got the completer. Let's go over there and take a look at what it looks like when it's all put together. We'll show you what it looks like, and this thing must cost, $100,000, roughly, at least. Oh, what a beautiful race car. This is, now it's sitting up on a little platform. What is that?
Jerry, that's our setup pad. It's a ground finished surface plate, basically. It's the plus and minus tolerances on this is like 10 to 15 thousandths. And we get more precise here than we do at the racetrack. maybe that's the reason we run so much better when we first get there than we do when we're there a while. But we set the car up here. We have front end plates. It's flush mounted, and also the scales are flush mounted. And it doesn't take us very long at all to set the car up and roll it right out of there. Even the NASCAR height stick for the roof height is on there. Just got to please NASCAR, you know.
So Gary, what's this room here? This
is our transmission gear room. Dan Ford runs it. He does a real good job for us, and he's in here working. Let's go see what he's doing.
Let's go meet Dan. Hey, Dan.
Hello, Jerry.
How you doing, sir? Good to see you again. Now tell us what all you do here for the Tide team.
Well, I take care of the gears and transmissions and the wiring of the new cars.
Now you've got gears behind you. You got gears that are all marked for different racetracks and different engine combinations for all the racetracks. You handle all the gears. This one guy does all the gears and the transmissions.
Yeah, we keep him pretty busy. It's not too bad. Once they're all built up, you know, you just got to go through 1 or 2 transmission gears a week.
So if you're watching the race and something happens to the gear or the transmission, is there a place at home where you can hide?
You feel like you need to hide, yeah, when something happens.
But these cars never have a problem. Dan, thanks for letting us invade your room here a little bit. Let's go on and see some more of the shop.
All right, let's go.
All right, so much goes on here at Hendrick Motorsports, and you can't build race cars unless you've got parts. And man, what a parts department! Who runs the department here?
Jeff Collins is running the parts department now, and he's doing a real good job.
Here's Jeff. Hey, Jeff, how you doing? Good to see you again. Now, you handle all the parts here at Hendrick Motorsports for this Tide operation, and it's got to be a headache.
Just, it sure is with all the time it takes and trying to keep all the guys busy. We don't have a lot of time here, so we got to really keep it, everything caught up.
Well, you do a heck of a job. Speaking of guys being busy, there's Banjo Grimm, who used to change tires and now is one of the new spotters for the Tide team. Banjo, you're back here grabbing some parts, and now in the shop, I know on race day you're a spotter. You're up high, you're basically the eyes of the team. What do you do here in the shop?
Well, basically here at the shop, my job is to maintain and rebuild the cars, kind of put them together, take them apart, and get them ready for the race.
I know you're hustling to get one ready, so we won't bother you. Go right ahead, and you got everybody is busy.
Yeah, I tell you what, right now is a busy time for us building new cars. We actually got 2 cars going, a Charlotte car and a road course car.
Well, there's a lot of grinding and machine work going on. Let's go over here and see what's happening over here. Okay, Gary, a lot of machine work going on here. What is Bob doing?
Oh, he's making a top for the radiator, to hold the radiator down, little duct work and stuff. And everything's handmade, and it's got to be, everything's a little different. So he's making the top that holds the radiator down, basically.
Although you have a pretty significant parts department, you make most of your parts, right?
Oh, yeah. It's so much stuff you got to make. Even when you buy a part, sometimes you got to change it around a little bit because everybody does their own little thing, you know. But
now, what are these machines back here? Let's take a quick tour of some of the machine work.
Oh, kadoki. This is a belt sander, sandblaster, hole punch, sheet metal shears over there, and the brakes, sheet metal brakes and all. This is just kind of a fabricating area right here that we do all our real hard, you know, dirty fabricating, you know, the stuff that really is dirty, you know, we try to keep it all back here in the back of the shop where we can clean it up easy.
So you can grind it, you can bend it, you can punch holes in it, and you can snip it and get it together all in one little area.
That's right. You can do it all right here, weld it together and everything, tote it over there and put it on the car.
That's incredible. Well, I'll tell you what, let's go outside and see some other parts of your shop here. This is impressive, but I think there's some even other parts that I've heard that maybe a little bit secret, but we'll go look anyway.
That's a good deal. Let's go.
Let's take a bit of a break from the tour and go meet the quarterback of the Tide team. We have a special visit coming your way with driver Ricky Rudd. Let me just hit a couple highlights. The first win, 83, was at Riverside, California, a road course. 84, probably one of the most horrendous somersaults and tumbles that I've ever seen at Daytona. And there have been quite a few at Daytona in recent years, but Bud Moore's Ford, it looked like someone had just punted that car in the air. It was spiraling in the air and somersaulting. As long ago as that was, that's something probably is still etched somewhere in your mind.
Well, I remember it. You know, I know that that used to make all the highlight films, but I'm a little disappointed now. They took Richard Petty has got a better wreck than I had now. He's making all the highlight films, but not the way you like to be remembered as far as that particular season. But '84 was a big opportunity for me to be able to drive for Bud Moore Engineering out of Spartanburg, and Bud's always had a history of very good cars, especially on the big tracks. The Busch Clash that year, which is the preliminary to the Daytona 500, was the season starts there, and we were running third and had a driver that tapped me in the back bumper coming off the fourth corner. And at that time, that's about the time all these reverse flips were taking place back before the speeds were reduced. It was a 200-mile-an-hour ride, and end over end, every which way you could think about flipping, it happened. And it really shook me up. It really just mainly did a lot of bruise, a lot of damage, and torn cartilage and so on. But coming back from that, it was all kind of the agony of defeat and the thrill of victory the following week, because we came back and was able to win at Richmond, Virginia. And I remember that experience well, because I couldn't see after the wreck. It swelled my eyes shut, and the only way I could see was to use duct tape to hold my eyes open for the next couple of weeks. So coming back to win at Richmond was, like I say, that was a thrill of victory after coming back from the agony of defeat just a week before.
One of the first people to come to you, to see you in the garage area, usually is Linda. If there's been an accident that you've been swept up in, or there's been a problem, she's an active member of that race day operation.
Well, she really is. She's up there visible, I guess, at every race, and she enjoys what she does on race day is helps the guys to calculate their fuel mileage, keeps track of the race, almost like a kind of a clerk would do, or a court stenographer. Basically, she's taking notes throughout the race, keeps lap times not only on myself, or say if I'm running wherever, 5th, 6th, or maybe even 2nd or 3rd, she's not only clocking my car per lap, she's also clocking the leader's car. And what she does is uses these notes, and a lot of time they'll go back, the crew will look at these notes and look at whether or not it was beneficial to schedule a pit stop early or late, because they'll look at the fall off. If he's put on 4 tires early, maybe you can take advantage of that for an extra 15 laps. So basically they use her notes to use during the race to help them make their race day decisions. And I think it keeps her pretty busy, keeps her mind occupied sometimes on some of these intense races.
We talked about the pride that you have in your efforts at a racetrack, but we spent time with the individuals in the Tide team. We went from Gary Dehart to the people fabricating, to painting, to building the race cars, the engine room, and it's amazing to me that these guys spend hours building, 2 and 3 hours building a small little piece of molding that goes on the front of the car for a road course, knowing that probably someone may bend that during the day. But I mean, that has to make you feel good, but at the same time, it must put a little bit of pressure on you, knowing all these guys are working hundreds of hours to get that car ready.
Well, I think first of all, the dedication that it takes, the team effort, and I stress team effort, that it takes to put together a winning effort. I don't know, I think you try to bring that in perspective, but I don't know if the public is really aware of the time and dedication these guys do. Like you just explained, they might spend hours upon hours making a part that I'm liable to go out and bend it up in the first lap of a race. And from my side of it, I can't really think about that. I have to take that car and use it the way I think it needs to be used to try to get that race won. And if that means bending that part up, I'm in a position where I don't think twice about it. But you would think that a guy that spent all that time making that special part, first thing I do is bend it up on lap 1. They're going to have the attitude, well, heck with it. I'm not going to spend that time on that part anymore. Look what he did to it. But these guys don't do that. They don't give up. They know that if we can run that whole race and say those special brake ducts that they had made to help keep the brakes cool, like on a road course, if I can run and knock that and maybe even run half the race before maybe they get knocked off, then that's the chance that they'll take building them, because they know that you need that little extra effort to try to win with. But I think that's the key, again, is teamwork. The driver, my role is only a small part of a whole team structure. And if that driver's doing his part, you definitely have to have the driver doing his part to be able to win races, win championships. But say the driver's not doing the job and the rest of the team is doing the job, well, it's not going to be successful. So, keeping that harmony, not only the driver, but the guys that's building the engines in the shop, the guy that sets that chassis up, the guy that builds the rear end gears and the transmissions. If you get all these guys, Dan Ford, Danny Marksburn, and there's a whole host of names there that are the reason for Hendrick's success. But say the reason we're not winning 30 races a year, there's got to be a reason somewhere. And a lot of time we look hard at trying to fill those voids, and I don't have to look very hard. I've got guys like Gary Dehart that look over that whole operation, and they look at it with a microscope, and they're constantly trying to figure out where we're getting beat or why we are not maybe as successful as we like to be. And each week there are minor changes made, not only in our team, but just about every Winston Cup team. But the confidence that I have to have in these guys, that makes my job easier, really.
With personal appearances and fan mail and testing and 4 days at the racetrack, and what do you do in your spare time? I mean, I know you had a day off a couple of years ago. What do you do to relax?
Well, you pretty much have to find. Part of the thing we do, we enjoy the lake. We come back to Lake Norman most of the time, and after a race, and the benefit of the airplanes that we no longer have the option of having, we have to have some type of air travel to get to and from the races for the schedule we've got. But when we get a chance, I love the lake. I just love to unwind. I don't hop on a boat, go boat riding, or just cruise around, sit on the Sea-Doos or the jet skis, and just really just about stay out here in your backyard. You've got your own vacation in your backyard. The only trouble with that is finding the time to enjoy it as much as you would like to. I have to be real careful because I get back home sometimes or get back to the lake and I start to enjoy it too much, and all of a sudden that next appearance or that next scheduled event we have, you start thinking, hey, it's pretty nice. I wish we could put that off a day. But the other side of it, it really does everything is such a hectic pace that we live, and it's kind of nice to be out in the middle of nowhere, which I feel like we are. We're just about out in the middle of nowhere, kind of out in a little wilderness here, and to be able to enjoy the water, and that's the big thing.
Ricky, just a beautiful day here at your home on Lake Norman, and with all your lovely boats behind us, I'd like to have a ride on one of these boats if I could. And so while maybe you go get a chance to get one of these, not the 100-mile-per-hour dude. Let's not crank that one up. Let's get on one a little bit more my speed. But while we get ready to take our own boat ride, let's take a look at Tide's unlimited hydroplane.
The Tide Motorsports team isn't limited to the land. Another team effort that sends the Tide logo hurtling towards the checkered flag at over 200 miles per hour is in the incredible sport of unlimited hydroplane racing. Now, it may look like a boat, but these turbine-powered machines are actually much closer to airplanes than traditional watercraft. Consider this. This boat actually rides more on air than water. In front of the driver are canard wings, which are controlled by the driver's feet. These wings force air under the boat, providing a cushion that the boat literally rides on. To get the nose up, the driver forces more air underneath the boat. When he wants it down, the canard wing pushes less air underneath. The boat dances on water, with the sponsons, these pontoon-like extensions in front of the boat, flicking against the waves with only the propeller in the water. And in fact, not even the entire propeller stays submerged, as these 30-foot-long water chariots reach speeds in excess of 210 miles per hour down the straightaway of the race course. Not surprisingly, piloting these crafts is no easy matter, but the Tide boat is lucky to have hard-charging veteran George Woods behind the wheel. George needs the feel of the water and the air, particularly when he puts the boat into a turn, with the boat pivoting on a carbon steel skid fin underneath the left sponson. He's up to it, having won 12 boating championships and notching 3 unlimited hydroplane victories. An unlimited hydroplane title seems only a matter of time for a driver who is continually striving to improve.
We did a lot of work on the boat, and now we're out here at the race course on the lake, and we're trying to gather it all together and make what we have changed on the boat, get it all dialed in for this race course and this race day. And it's getting better and better. I think every time we're going to run the boat, you're going to see it go a little bit faster and a little bit faster. And if it doesn't go a little faster, then we'll know we did something wrong and we can come back. It's just research and development. And I think you're going to see the Tide just run like gangbusters. May not do it today, but it'll do it tomorrow.
Keeping the operation running full steam ahead is team owner Bill Worster, overseeing a team of 7 men who ensure that what they call the boat ride is perfect. It's a non-stop effort, fine-tuning a military surplus jet helicopter turbine engine that generates in excess of 3,000 horsepower, and powering a boat created out of a space-age amalgam of wood, fiberglass, and carbon fiber, worth over $1 million when it's sitting in the water and ready to run. Fans of any kind of racing have to watch in awe as these motorized aquatic spaceships literally fly around the race course, sending towering walls of water skyward. Man, there's nothing like seeing that Tide boat jet by. And you can catch George and the boat on races broadcast on ESPN or when the national tour comes to a lake or river near you.
Well, friends, many of you may already be aware that there is very little about a stock car that's actually stock. Beneath that cosmetically perfect orange, yellow, and white Tide Chevrolet, well, what we call the guts of the beast or the bowels inside, it's all tubing. Steel tubing, wiring, fire insulation. And to see that, we're going to go inside a place called Hendrick Engineering and meet a man they've nicknamed Fast Eddie. And we'll see if we can find Eddie and eavesdrop on how he puts the insides of that car together. Come along. Okay, we're in the engineering department taking a look for Fast Eddie. As we look for Eddie, we might mention in the assembly room we met a lot of really integral parts of the team. We missed Gordon Gibbs, who's out because of a little medical problem. Gordon's a key member of the Tide team, changes the left side tires, and certainly we miss him today, but he's a very, very important part. Let's see, Fast Eddie. Eddie! Hey, Fast Eddie! Eddie Dickerson. Hey, how you doing, man? Good to see you again.
How you doing?
Just fine. Now, you basically are in charge of the Hendrick Engineering Department here, as we were told, and all the research and development. Now, what do we have here? Like a bunch of tubes?
Yeah, this is just, we're going over steel right now. This is where all the race cars begin, right here.
Oh, wait a minute. This is a race car?
Well, yeah, actually, there's 2 or 3 cars in there. We just got to find them.
So you guys start with the bare essentials. Now, what do we have back here? This blue contraption. What does this do?
This would be the cage. Actually, this is where Ricky would sit. These bars would go up, and the roof of the race car would be right here. The door bars would run along here, and this is how the car starts right here. These tubes are bent on some machines I'll show you later, and they're all fitted up by Mr. Funderburk, and when it's done, it's a roll cage.
Well, so Ricky sits here, you bend the whole thing around it, and basically that's how you used to. Man, let's go see what's going on here in this engineering department.
Okay.
Eddie, there's so much going on in here as we walk through, and all these pieces of equipment and people working. And now right here to our left, this looks like a bunch of tubes like we saw a minute ago, but they've been sort of welded together.
Right. That's that car we were trying to find in the steel rack. Actually, the chassis starts out. It's basically 4 pieces. The center section is built on the other side of the shop. It's laid up in place. A front snout is put up, centered up, put in place, and welded. A rear clip is put up and welded on. Then the cage that we saw being built, it sets down on top of that. That's the start of your race chassis right there.
So all these guys doing their own individual parts, it all comes together, gets assembled as what looks like the beginning of a race car.
Right. It takes all the guys in the shop and all the equipment we have.
Now let's see what's to our right here. It looks like part of a race car with some sheet metal on it. What's the sheet metal that's on it?
Really, what's on this car right now, we're putting a new fresh body on the car. Through the year, from beating and banging on the short tracks, get a lot of Bondo in them. The cars get heavy, so we freshen them back up. Basically, this is a stock Lumina Chevrolet hood that you can get at the parts counter at City Chevrolet. And the roof skin and the trunk, that's all stock sheet metal. And the rest of the stuff's all handmade by the boys in the shop.
So all the sheet metal that's missing, everything that's missing here, all the fenders and the doors and rear fender quarter panel, all that is handmade here in the shop.
Right. The guys that got their patterns fitted up use cardboard templates. They lay it out on a flat piece of sheet metal, draw it out, cut it out, put it in the English wheel, and shape it by hand.
That's incredible. And then when all the sheet metal gets on, we got to go where to get it looking pretty?
We got to go to that body shop.
Let's go look at it. All right, let's see where they get nice and pretty. Oh man, look, this is nice in here. Dennis. Hey, Dennis Hartzell, good to see you.
Good to see you, Jerry.
Now, what are you doing here?
We're painting up a road course pieces, winter net brackets and stuff like that to put on the road course car.
So you just hang them and paint them, and then they put them on?
Right, hang them, paint them, and put them on.
Now, what's your buddy Tom over here doing?
He's done painting the car, and we just touched up the quarter panels on it, getting it ready to go to another race.
All right, well, we'll let you work, and we'll get over here and bother Tom for just a minute here. Tom, man, good to see you again.
Good seeing you.
Boy, that looks nice. I mean,
we're pretty proud of our work here. We try and take a little bit of pride in it.
I'd say the way this car looks on Sunday, it shows up so nice, the big Tide colors. I mean, is it difficult with all the colors? I mean, the orange, the yellow, and the white, and the blue, does that make it sort of tough on you?
Yeah, sometimes this car is a little tough to paint because it needs a white base coat underneath the orange even. And then the fade, such as in between the orange and the yellow here, it's a little bit tricky, but nothing we can't handle.
I tell you, look, I know you handle it. I tell you, let's go outside and look at the finished product. I mean, it is absolutely gorgeous. Come on. It is purely an art, a skill for Dennis and Tom to get these cars painted the way they are. I mean, take a look. It's the orange here and the yellow and the white numbers. I mean, it just blends so nicely together. They do a wonderful job getting this car absolutely race ready. This car's been raced a little bit, so it's not exactly immaculate, but it's ready to race. Well, I take that back. It's not ready to race. There's a big hole here in the front where the engine goes. But I know where to find the engine guys. Next building over. Let's go see them. Well, let's see. We've seen Gary Dehart in the fabrication shop, Eddie Dickerson showing us how they build them safe, and here's the man who puts the muscle in the machines. Randy, good to see you. Randy Dorton, who you're in charge of the entire Hendrick motor program, right?
That's right. Yeah, head of all the engine program.
You've obviously got a lot of things to be concerned with here. Now, what do you have engines ready to go out on the trucks?
Yeah, you're always, a couple weeks ahead usually with engines, because of getting the cars prepped in the shop and get them ready for the next race. So get through at Martinsville, you're off in a few days, you're off to Talladega, and then a week off, and then you're off to California. So we got to stay a couple weeks ahead.
Well, let's take a look at your motor room here. Come on, let's eavesdrop and see what's going on here in this very busy part of the shop. All right, so we mosey into the old race shop engine room, and let's see, Bob Dale is here now. Now, Bob is working on an engine. What does Bob do with the Tide team?
Bob's the guy that leaves every time an engine goes out the door with the Tide team. Bob's the guy that kind of babysits that. He's the one that does the final tune on it, checking everything over, going through inspections. So it's kind of his baby when it goes out the door.
So, Bob, on race day, you're the one standing in the front of the car there, revving it up and getting the timing and everything set for the car, this last-minute adjustment.
That's right. It's my responsibility to make sure when that thing goes on the racetrack, everything is tight, ready to go, and ready to win a race.
Well, he does a great job, I think, as evidenced by the success of that Tide team. So now we've got a lot of people in this shop and everyone working on different pieces of equipment. What all do we have around us here?
Well, you've got various operations going. You can see here where crankshafts being balanced here in this Bridgeport. The guys behind us are doing the final dress up on another one of Ricky's engines to head to the next race.
Now, there's a very important part of the Tide team. Apart from yourself, you're over all of the program. Now, there is one individual, I guess, who's in charge of what, assembling the engines?
Yeah, that's right. It ends up being Greg Wilson. It's his primary concern. His focus is just to do all the assembly work and just work on Ricky's engines.
Well, let's go see what Greg's doing. Come on. Okay, Randy, we've worked our way back through the engine shop, and here's Greg. What's Greg doing?
Well, as I said, Greg is a final assembler of all of Ricky's engines, so a lot of the machine work, as we saw, is being done in the shop, and it's Greg's final inspection and documentation of records and the final fit up of the engine. So, this is the cleanest part of the shop. He's doing, as I said, the final inspection and putting the engine together.
Now, Greg, so when we're at the racetrack, come over here a second. When we're at the racetrack and Ricky's standing in victory lane and says, and Greg, what a great job you did on the engine, you're the guy he's talking about.
Yeah, it's a good feeling, but there's a lot more to it than, when he says Greg, when he mentions my name, it's a total team effort with everyone involved because there's not one person can do it alone.
Well, you guys do a heck of a job, and it is a team effort. Randy, over all the engine programs yourself, and, of course, Bob at the racetrack helping tune the things and keeping it going, but just part of the Tide success story.
Yes, Bob helps, even coming back in here and talking to me about the way the engine runs at the racetrack. He helps me out a lot, just letting me know what the driver can tell him, and then he comes and tells me, relays that information, and it helps me a lot, even going to the next race, even throughout all the year.
We won't bother you anymore. We know you're busy getting ready here. Thanks for taking time, just a minute to visit with us here. And Randy, congratulations to you on such an outstanding engine program for all the race teams. And, of course, today we happen to be visiting here with the Tide folks. Let you get back to work. I think he's getting ready to dock you for a minute and a half of playing television. So we won't even look under this cover, folks. That's probably new horsepower, just right here. We won't even talk about that. Come on, we'll go back outside. Well, the final piece of the puzzle, this beautiful Tide Chevrolet. Complete, finished, hundreds and hundreds of man-hours ready to be loaded in the truck. But not just one car goes. They put 2 race cars, 5 engines, and all the spare parts in this rig behind me. Now, the trailer itself just cost $250,000, just $250,000, and the tractor that pulls it, another $150,000. 2 race cars and all the parts and engines, over $2 million in rolling inventory headed to the racetrack under the direction of Bob Holt, who is the truck driver. Well, it's been a wonderful day here at Tide Motorsports. Ricky Rudd, Rick Hendrick, everyone excited about the future. It's extremely bright. You wonder why Ricky's always smiling? Because he knows the success that Tide's had over the years in racing. He also knows that he's headed to victory lane. So for everyone here at Tide Motorsports, thanks for joining us. Remember, stay bright with Tide. We'll see you.
Transportation provided by Winnebago Industries, manufacturer of the Winnebago Itasca Motorhomes. For more information on Winnebago Motorsports Team, call 1-800-643-4892.